Hi everyone, I thought I would do a special edition over here. We've been covering already 250 great Rabbanim of yesteryear, and we've actually explored possibly about 8 or 10 different Rabbanim from Bosnia and Herzegovina. So coming up this week on Chaf Sivan is a yard site of very famous Rabbi Moshe Danon, Zechet Tzadik Livracha. So I did a video on this on a few different other channels which I put on just yesterday. So I would speak about now over here the history of a salvation that occurred in Bosnia more than 200 years ago. Let's call it like a second Purim that actually occurred in Bosnia. A position of where there was real coexistence that actually took place, real unity of all the nations among each other, which is not reported that over, and about a famous person that's very much connected, a very famous Jewish historian from Bosnia. His nickname is Zeki Effendi. Also in his Hebrew name is Moshe ben Rafael Attias. Also a really, really great historian and a great famous Jewish historian also, and much can be related over. So I've already done the video on Rabbi Moshe Danon, where it's going to be his yard site. So we'll talk about him also later. He was a head rabbi in Bosnia and Herzegovina. But here we'll speak about the Zeki Effendi now. Who was he? He was a great Bosnian Jewish person, and he became a scholar of studied also Islam and medieval Persian literature, which is very, very interesting. Also, he was born to a very prominent Sarajevo Sephardic Jewish family. Also, this was during the late Ottoman time period. He was actually born in the year 1845. Passed away 2nd of July 1916. So in 2 weeks' time, just under 2 weeks, would be his yard site, because it was on 1st of Tammuz. And most of his active life was under the Austro-Hungarian administrative rule of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Okay, so he attended Ottoman State School in Sarajevo, and was very, very well educated from different backgrounds, of different religions. Over there, he became a scholar of 13th century Persian poet and mystic Al-Musli Uddin Sa'idi, who was the author of the Gulistan, if I'm not mistaken. And he was got the title. What is the word Effendi? First of all, we mentioned the word Effendi with great Rabbanim also who had the nickname Effendi. Effendi is a scholar actually of Islam. Very interesting enough. He was apparently he was known, this Zeki Effendi, Rabbi Attias, in his last years as Zeki Effendi, which I've nicknamed the video or named the video as over there. So he was studying in Sarajevo, and later on he was in Sarajevo, and he joined the Ottoman civil service at one stage. He was working, reported over for the tax authorities over there, and he was a financial advisor after Austro-Hungarian takeover of the capital in 1878. So this is very interesting. Okay, we're going to talk about the real history and the meat and potatoes of the video itself. He was treasurer of the Sarajevo Jewish Society, also called the La Bene Volan Kedija. I hope I pronounced it correct. And he had correspondence with Angel Polido in Madrid, which is also very interesting enough. He was a Spanish physician and publicist, which also I will let you research on. Okay, the Zeki Effendi used to write standard Castilian Spanish language rather than Judeo-Spanish for one reason or another, but usually used by Sarajevo Jews, but still he used apparently the Hebrew alphabet over there. Now, what's interesting was there was a poet of the name Abraham Aaron Capon who commissioned him actually to write an authoritative history of Bosnian Jews. Bosnia had a very great Jewish community. Old Yugoslavia also did. We spoke about famous Rabbi Yehuda Alkali only recently also. So the Zeki Effendi actually published a short-lived Sarajevo Ladino periodical called the La Al-Borada, which was under the name de El Amante de la Luz, which was interesting enough. It was reference approach to his historiography, and also in 1901 he published a history of the Bosnian Jews. Now here is where it's getting key, because it's a hilul, the yard site Rabbi Moshe Danon here on Chaf Sivan over here in a couple of days' time, and he wrote a lot of history with regards to famous Rabbi Moshe Danon, who was a rabbi of Stolac. And now we're going to in a minute time we're going to explain about it. In 1908 His voice was actually recorded by Julius Subak on his trip to Sarajevo with Abraham Capon, and the record is kept in the Viano phonogramma chip. It was in, it was in a stored place with a recording of one of his poems. Okay, in 1911, the Zeki Effendi made a tour of the Balkans together with renowned Spanish scholar of Sephardic balladry, Don Manuel Manrique de Lara, and recording oral texts of Sephardic culture of Bosnia-Herzegovina, Serbia and Kosovo, these three countries which had very, very much greater, huge Sephardic communities over there. He was buried in the old Jewish cemetery of Sarajevo. What's interesting, his gravestone contains inscriptions in 3 scripts, in Latin, in Hebrew and in Arabic. Also, he was very, he was a scholar of, as we said before, a very worldly scholar also. And what's interesting is, his gravestone is possibly the only Jewish gravestone in the world containing both the Hebrew and Arabic script. Okay, that's what I want to say within regards to him, but I'm connecting it now here. But it's key, all this information, because it's a Hilula of Rabbi Moshe Danon over here today, and very interesting bit of Bosnian, real Jewish history I'm going to talk about over here, which is very, very important over here. It's actually interesting. It was quoted, especially it was very highly documented only a few years ago, where that I believe in that there was the famous incident actually took place in Bosnia nearly 200 years ago, which was considered the second Purim over there. That happened apparently in the 1819, so we're talking about 5 years ago from the time of recording. There was a dozen Jews from an Ottoman era governing that was put into jail from an Ottoman era governing body, and which was very, very distressful and very highly documented also. But however, there was an uprising to rescue these Jews that were held hostage, and they wanted an exorbitant amount of money with regards to this. So what's interesting is there was, as we're going to explore this actual incident itself, it was over here. This book was okay. Just going to get the correct place over here because we want to be interesting. There was in 1819 there was a Turkish governor of the name Mehmed Rusdi Pasha, and this governor had sought a huge ransom to spare the Jews' lives. He actually captured them and he kidnapped. Many of them, we're talking about hostages, one our current hostages, to be set free immediately. He did it. He actually did it. And on that specific, there was an uprising that took place, where all the Jews and the Muslim neighbors, as well as Jews and Orthodox Serbs and Catholic Croats, they came together and they did an uprising in order to free all these hostages that were were put into ransom, and they wanted that massive sum of money to release them. They all collaborated together, not just the Jews, also the Christians, also the Muslims. They all and did an uprising against this wicked Ottoman government at this point in time. This the Zeki Effendi very much comments about this, and this was during the time period of the famous Rabbi Moshe Danon also. And this Muslim rebellion was recorded, as we said before, by Sarajevo Jewish historian Moshe Rafael Attias, who was a Zeki Effendi, in his book, the Sarajevo Megillah, the famous Megillah of Sarajevo over here. The book's title is a reference to the Book of Esther, which is read aloud during the Jewish holiday of Purim. The holiday celebrates, we know that the Purim celebrates salvation from genocide in ancient Persia, and is normally held in March. Obviously, it's on 14th of Adar, the Purim of Ar, which we all celebrate. All the Jewish people do over there. Robert Attias, the historian Attias, studied Islam and medieval Persian literature and was obviously an interfaith advocate over here. And he was a person that really very much reported this second Purim, let's just say, that occurred in Sarajevo, where there was salvation of the Jewish community over there, and everyone came together to uproot and to destroy the terrible Ottoman Empire at that point in time, that were trying to control the Jewish community and agitate it, and held all those great people hostage at that point in time. What's interesting was the Jewish people played a significant role in Sarajevo's cultural and economic life for many, many years, hundreds and hundreds of years. And they were expelled after the Christian reconquest of the Liberian Peninsula. They found sanctuary in that city. Then it was part of the Ottoman Empire itself. Let's just say that at the height of the city's influence, Sarajevo actually held 8 synagogues, and at that point in time there was 12,000 Jews. However, many of them were unfortunately killed by the wicked Nazi Germany, and fewer than 1,250 Jews ended up remaining in Bosnia after the Second World War. The community recovered the post-war era, but was dealt another blow with Yugoslavia's collapse and the subsequent siege of Sarajevo, which was the longest in the history. Before the 1992-1994-95 war, Sarajevo was multi-ethnic melting pot over there. There was all different religions over there, and there were synagogues also. Afterwards, currently it's predominantly Muslim, but there are still 800 Jewish people living in the town, and obviously they play a very central role over there. But they had their salvation, the Bosnian Jewish community, in this year, in the year 1819. It was like a second Megillah. As we said before, the Zeki Effendi wrote it as the Sarajevo Megillah also. And what's key is that, as we said before, if you look at the picture of the cemetery of the Kebe, the burial plot of the Zeki Effendi, Rabbi Attias, the historian Attias, it's actually got Hebrew and Arabic writing also, which is very, very much interesting. So, but however, there was a great rabbi at the time. There was a Rabbi Moshe Danon, who it's his Hilula also, who was living at that point in time. And the Zeki Effendi actually wrote various different articles. He was a historian and documented much of the life of the famous Rabbi Moshe Danon, which is very, very interesting. And he authored also, the Zeki Effendi, many different books on the Bosnian Jewish culture and history itself. It's very much important to actually look back at this historical event. Not many people are aware within regards to this. And, it's always good to learn more of the Jewish history. Not many people are aware that there was a big Jewish community, let's say a very Zionistic community, that lived in Bosnia and had such a central role within regards to Zionism, moving to Israel, advocating to Israel, and great Jewish culture also, not just in Bosnia, also in the old Yugoslavia, also in Macedonia even, also in Kosovo, in all those different countries, especially also in Croatia. There was a lot of Torah that actually took place in that point in time, and to learn about the Ottoman rule. But one of the greatest historians, obviously, of all time is the Zeki Effendi, who very much documented this really anti-Semitic tribulent period, and how all the different religions came together in Bosnia to save the Jewish community at that point in time, and to free the hostages, and do the uprising against the wicked enemies over there. It was a moment in Jewish history, in world history, where there was a collaboration and really salvaged the Jewish life. So I hope this was informative. Wishing you all a great day. Shavua Tov U'Varach. And please, I'll try and forward a link within regards to the video of the famous, great Rabbi Moshe Danon, also Zecher Tzedek Bracha. Have a great day.